The British Empire saw the largest encounter between different peoples the world had ever seen. It was not just political, it was personal. When British men had sex with native women, entire new communities of mixed-race children were born. But the British called them coloureds and rejected them, even though they often shared their white fathers' European features. To both black and white, they embodied the imperial taboo. The policies of Lord Cornwallis were designed to separate the rulers from the ruled. People of mixed race were stripped of office, and from then on, Britons who sired Anglo Indian children faced censure. The British distanced themselves, and the Anglo Indians were made outcasts. Kalimpong School, high up in the Himalayas, is home to 1,000 Anglo Indian children, all descended from white men of the Raj. When the Raj ended, mixed-race children were left behind, and today they still form a separate community. As brown English people who are a living legacy of empire, they have an uncertain place in modern India. Principal Howard O'Connor takes in many from deprived backgrounds.
Either there's alcoholism or drug addiction, or the fact that parents haven't married each other, lack of education leading to the fact that the parents cannot even gain any sort of employment that would help these children to survive.
The school was founded by Scottish missionary John Anderson Graham in 1900.
He felt that there was a far greater need to work with children who he discovered here in the hills of the Darjeeling district, who were the offspring of European fathers and Eurasian mothers. And he hired a little cottage called Cananda. He rescued 5 children from in and around the bazaar of Kalimpong. They were an embarrassment to the British father, who would finally, being a young man on his first service probably in India, go home, find himself a British bride and come back. And he wouldn't want to have anything to do with his Indian children. It was just something that had to be swept under the carpet, and if there was a Dr. Graham willing to do it, they were pleased to help him. Quite often, the British father was willing to pay Dr. Graham a handsome sum of money so that these children were never mentioned again. Quite often, their names were changed. They relieved the mother of being branded with these fair blonde children, and they also saved the children.
In 1917, after her English father died, leaving them nothing, Marie Godfrey's mother said goodbye to her 2 young daughters and sent them alone to the school.
My father came from Burma. He was a Britisher who came from Burma. He was loaned to the Nizam's government for their railways. We were very young, my sister and I. During my father died, my mother was not at all well off. So she couldn't pay for our education. And being an Anglican school, she just heard of it. So she applied, and they took us in very readily, because they were taking in the Anglicans first. So we got in without any problem. We had house mother, two ladies, all foreigners, all from Britain, And one was acted as a house mother, one acted as the house aunt. They looked after us. But we used to do all our own work, make our own beds. Some of the clothes we'd have to wash our own clothes.
The children of Dr. Graham's school found themselves separated both from their British fathers and their Indian roots.
One of his principles at the time was that the local mother was never allowed to visit the children. So I suppose in real terms they became orphans as circumstance demanded, but they didn't start out as such. They did have both their natural parents, who unfortunately didn't want to have anything to do with them.
To be perfectly candid, we had forgotten all about my mother, because we never saw her. We went up so young, as I tell you, and then she never saw us again till we were about 14 or 15. Seldom we got a letter, seldom. We just knew that there was a mother somewhere, and that was all.
The mothers felt it very badly, because whatever it was a child born by the mother. And we have heard stories recounted of how the mothers would come to the compound here and hide in the shrubbery and identify their children and long to go and touch them and tell them who they were. But they couldn't, because I suppose they understood that that would jeopardize the future of the child over here.
After Marie Godfrey left school, she found that as an Anglo Indian, she could only go so far in British society. Working as a nurse in Calcutta, she met a young English bachelor.
Oh, we used to go out, we motor out at the weekends. He'd want to see a lot of these Indian temples, so we'd motor out for the weekend, and there's a Parsnath hill not far from here. We used to go out and see that, stay at the Dak Bungalow. Next morning, climb the hill, see the temple, he'd take pictures, and then we'd come back. And we'd motor from here to Ranchi, to the seaside. And those were the best things, best outings in my life.
This was no casual relationship. They were together for 11 years, until he left to fight in the war and marry an English woman.
After the war, I don't know how he met this girl and married her. I saw him once when he came out with his wife, and he had a son. Yes, he had a son. And he came to see me once. I said, yes, I know you're married. You wrote and told me all about it, and that sort of thing. I said, but I don't expect you to visit me anymore. I said, I would not accept it if I was your wife. So he was very good. Never came back, never ever tried to come back and see me. But they didn't stay long. They couldn't stand India. The wife and the child, they couldn't stand India. So they packed up and went off to England. I've never heard of him since. He was the only man in my life. I liked him very much. Very nice man, but I knew that there would be nothing in it. I knew that for certain, because the British were very, very sticky about it. Very sticky. And I've never heard of him since. I don't know if he's still alive or dead.
Marie Godfrey never married. She still lives close to Beau Bazaar, the heart of Calcutta's Anglo Indian community under the Raj. When the new India was born, many emigrated to England, but others stayed behind, a living reminder of a colonial past. Though the British Empire has gone, it lives on still in the faces and the memories of its children. The British felt their empire represented ideals of Christian duty and civilization, which would spread around the world. The children of empire, who were the products of both love and lust, have to find their own way in the post-imperial world, uneasily poised between the past and the future, the fruit of ruling passions.
The BBC book Ruling Passions, an intimate and historical portrait of imperial power, is available now from bookshops.